If you live in a cold climate like I do, you know that sometimes spring can be really rough. I'm out here in my garden and no, it's not February 16th, it's actually April 16th. Yesterday we got a huge snowstorm, and usually this time of year I'm already planting in my garden, but this spring it's buried under a few inches of snow. Yes, it was a little depressing yesterday, but one thing that's keeping my spirits up are my low tunnels and cold frames. I've already planted and harvested out of both of them, even though we've had a really cold spring with a few snowstorms. Today I thought I'd give you a little tour around my snowy garden and give you a peek underneath my covers so that you can catch a glimpse of spring. When I came out to my garden this morning, the first thing I needed to do was brush the snow off of my cold frame and my low tunnel. And actually it was more of a wet snow, so it was a little icy, so you can see I had to kind of chisel it off. A couple weeks ago, when it was supposed to go down into the teens at night, I put an extra layer of row cover within my cold frame to try to keep things a little bit more warm. So here it is, let's check what's inside. Oh my gosh, it looks like spring. In this part of the cold frame I have some Sylvetta arugula that also survived the winter, and I've been harvesting a little bit. It's grown a little slowly this year, but I've gotten a couple harvests. Then I have 3 rows of spinach and then 3 rows of carrots. Everything's germinated. You can see there's a few little weeds coming up, so I need to mulch in here. But I've got quite a head start. It's April 16th and I already have all these things germinated. And then in this part of the bed, from left to right, I have some arugula and salad mix that's almost ready to harvest, and then some radishes and turnips that'll be a little bit further behind, but will make some great salads in a few weeks. And now it's time to peek in the low tunnel. Let's see what's going on in there, but first I have to clear away the snow. Oh my gosh, same thing, looks like spring. In this bed I have some kale and some lettuce that I planted just about 10 days ago. It hasn't grown much because it's been so cold, but the rest of the bed is the exciting part where I have last year's spinach. So this is spinach that I planted last August. It overwintered, survived the winter, and I've been harvesting it since about the second week in March, so we've had many spinach salads from this bed. I also planted some daffodils in this hoop, and I actually have a bouquet of daffodils in my house right now. You can see that they're already blooming just a little bit because it's been warm inside the hoop. And then the rest of this bed is a row of cilantro that was planted last fall and also survived the winter and started to grow again. I just harvested some for dinner the other night. And I have a row of peas that I planted that have finally germinated and started growing. They were a little slow, but they finally came up. And then I have a row of radishes right here that hasn't come up yet. And then a little tiny row of salad mix that I planted between the spinach. If you're like me and you're feeling frustrated with the cold spring so far, you might have been sitting around at breakfast this morning trying to convince your partner that you should move to California. But for most of us, that's probably not a possibility. Instead of moving you and your family to another gardening zone, you could build a few low tunnels and cold frames and move your garden to another zone instead. As you can see, I've extended my growing season and my harvest season by planting a cold weather garden. This is such a fun way to feel like you're really beating the season and getting the most food possible out of your garden. This season, if it sounds like fun to be harvesting fresh veggies in the snow, put season extension on your to-do list. And if you feel like you'd love some support in learning how to do it, I'd love to teach you how in my how-to video series, Extend Your Growing Season, Plant a Cold Weather Garden. You can read all about the class in the link below this video. That's the update from today from snowy Madison, Wisconsin. And if you're feeling a little blue about the rough spring, I'm with you. Let's just tell ourselves to keep the faith, because before we know it, better days are coming and we'll have our hands in the soil. And now I'm off to harvest a bunch of greens from my low tunnel and cold frame to cheer me up and have a salad for dinner tonight. All right, take care. See you soon.